What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. If you aren't new around here, do scroll down and smash that subscribe button and make sure to turn on that notification bell to get notified every time we upload content, and there is a lot coming your way. But let's get straight into the Tottenham update, and there's been some murmurings from a few reliable sources like Sammy Mockbell and Matt Law talking about Spurs about to offer Antonio Conte a new contract, which is music to all our ears. Sammy Mockbell says that Tottenham plan to open contract talks with Antonio Conte next month and want to offer Conte a huge contract. Antonio Conte is known to be happy with the progress the team has made during his tenure at Spurs and recognise the role the club's hierarchy has played in achieving relative success by breaking back into the top four last season. Matt Law says in contract talks, Conte will seek promises that Spurs are prepared to continue to spend, having insisted he would need at least 2 more transfer windows to turn the club into title contenders. I mean, it's great that they're talking about a new contract anyway.
Music to my ears, to be honest. The fact that those two are two very reliable sources in Matt Law and Sammy Mockbell saying that Tottenham are going to open transfer talks next month for Antonio Conte. That's really encouraging. And I think there's always this anxiety with the Spurs fan base, isn't there, that Conte isn't going to be here for a while. He's a short-term manager. He's not here for the long term. But the fact that we want to nail him down to a long-term contract is what we all want, and hopefully the dominoes can start to fall once that happens. And because I think right now at Tottenham, as much as things are going pretty well, like results wise, and I think like the club, there's a lot of unity in the squad, and that everyone's behind the manager. There's still that underlying uncertainty: is this all on like a House of Cards kind of thing? Is it very like is this a long-term vision, or is it a case of if we don't win something, then it's all going to fall down? If he does sign a contract, a long-term contract, then all of a sudden everything seems a lot more stable. You can see a long-term vision at the club, and all of a sudden we become I think there can be a lot more certainty about our situation. So I'm happy that that's being discussed. The reports are that he's happy at Tottenham, and that he even realizes that the hierarchy have done a good job under his tenure. That's according to reports. That's what they're claiming, that the hierarchy, that he acknowledges the hierarchy have done a decent job in getting in players to being able to get them top four and stuff like that. And he's been consistent, hasn't he, about needing more transfer windows to compete. So I think it's a bit of a weird one, because the complaints we hear from Tottenham fans at the moment about not playing well and players not being good enough and stuff like that, they're all valid, but like, are we? But they're valid in a sense that, are we expecting to compete now for a title? And the fact of the matter is, if Conte's looking at the long term, then maybe us fans should also be a bit more patient and not demand that we have to win a title or really compete for a title this season to be happy with where the club is going.
Yeah, and I think that as long as we see progression, which we're seeing at the moment, I'm happy with that. I mean, I never expected this year a season to challenge with Man City or anything like that. I think the most kind of troubles in people's heads in terms of the way Spurs are going is overshadowed by the football Arsenal are playing at the moment. And I think if Arsenal were like what they were last season or the season before, and Spurs were doing exactly what we're doing now, I think that most Spurs fans would be happy. But it's just that Arsenal, I think most Spurs fans are really just looking at Arsenal and being like, well, why can't we be playing football like that when, you know, we're playing football like the way we are? But in my opinion, as long as we're showing progression, I'm happy with that, and that's exactly what we're doing at the moment. And there's a narrative around Conte saying that, you know, he doesn't stick around at clubs too long, and he's a short-term manager and this kind of stuff. But I don't think he ever sets out at a club and being like, look, I'm only going to be here 1 or 2 years and then move on. I think he goes into clubs with the best kind of aspirations and will. But, you know, things happen. What happened at Chelsea, you know, he didn't get what he wanted. What happened at Inter, they started selling off all his players and stuff like that. If Spurs and Conte have their visions aligned, then he can be here for the long term. I really believe that.
With all the clubs that he's left early with, or I mean, it's been the last 2, Inter and Chelsea. He's been a couple years and he's left. If he decides that he can see a future with Spurs in the long term, what do you think that says about us right now?
Says we're onto a really good path, and it means that he sees a vision where this club can fight at the top of the table, and that's got to be what it means, because we know Conte won't stick around unless he knows he has that chance to fight for the top.
If Conte commits, do you think what do you think that does to people who are maybe very sceptical or even more than sceptical of the board? I mean, if Conte can trust the board, would that go some way to maybe reassuring some fans, or do you think there's still a lot of trust there to be fixed?
I think there's still a lot of trust there to be fixed. I mean, coming from someone who's not a big fan of the board right now, or for a couple of years at least, you need to see that transferred onto the pitch and into the trophy cabinet as well, until fans are really going to start trusting the hierarchy again, in my opinion. Once that starts to happen, and if Conte does sign this long-term contract, that's definitely a massive step in the right direction, but we need to see it further than that, and we need to see trophies in the cabinet, and we need to see us fighting for big honours at the top, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's all we want, but I think that's a really big indication if he actually does sign a contract. I think no one can really complain about that. It'll be music to everyone's ears.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll definitely be a step in the right direction, that's for sure, and it will keep the progression going. But let's move on. Let's talk about Harry Kane now, as we've got some quotes from Fabio Paratici, who has revealed that Tottenham are very optimistic about Harry Kane's future at the club. The quote is, "Kane is a symbol of this club, the best scorer in history and the captain of England. We are confident and always in contact. There is a great relationship between him and the club. We are very optimistic." So, I mean, good noises coming out everywhere. And I felt like you say, like, it could be a domino effect. I think it will be a domino effect. Is if we can sign Conte down to the long-term future, Kane will also sign down to the long-term future.
Yeah, I agree, because I think everything will be here for him if Conte signs over the long term. I think the worry for him would maybe be he signs a long-term contract and Conte. If he signs without Conte signing, the worry would be, Conte leaves and Tottenham are back at square one like they were a year ago when Nuno was here, and will be in a directionless club where he's at his prime years, where he needs to be at a club who are competing at the top level. But if Conte does sign, and obviously he would sign with the promise of future funds and the ability to compete at the top, there's no reason why Kane would want to go anywhere else, to be honest, as much as especially with his options drying up as well, given the fact that with Man City moving on with Haaland, there aren't too many other places to go where he's definitely going to be competing. So I think hopefully everything can start to fall into place, and I think Paratici's absolutely right. He is our man. He's a symbol of the club. He's a talisman, and he means a lot more than just most other players. So it'll be vital to get him signed up to a new contract. Hopefully that can happen. Maybe all this will happen after the World Cup, but I do think he'll definitely be watching those Conte contract negotiations with a keen eye, and hopefully everything falls into place.
Yeah, and also, like, I think you've mentioned this a lot over the past, but he's a player with Harry Kane, with the attributes that he does have. He can go well into his 30s, and signing him down to a long-term deal. I mean, I've heard fans of rival clubs going, "Oh, Kane's in the latter stages of his 20s, nearly 30s. I mean, how long does he actually have left?" But I think he's got a minimum of like at least 3-4 years left, maybe even 5 years left. So
as I kept saying,
drop down to the 10 and orchestrate things like that. I mean, he's such a brilliant player with so much talent in every facets of his game. He can do anything he wants.
I've said so many times, look at Lewandowski and Benzema. They're still at the top of their game, and they're in their mid-30s. So there's absolutely no reason why Kane, especially the way Kane looks after himself, and he's so focused. He doesn't go out drinking. He doesn't go do parties and stuff. He just focuses on his career and looks after himself.
Parties.
That's what he does, but it's true. And so there's absolutely no reason why he can't have a very long career.
Absolutely. And last but not least, let's talk about that Google deal, the stadium naming rights deal. Damasio has been chiming in on it today, and he says the negotiations between Tottenham and Google for the stadium rights could be completed soon. And he went on to say that the stadium could be called the Google Stadium. Sky Sports also confirmed that Tottenham and Google are in active talks over the stadium naming rights deal. And it seems like this is moving fast now. Yeah,
Damasio seems very confident this one is going to happen. There was a report, I believe it was from the Footy Insider, so not very reliable, that they believe that Amazon is still in play. But reading that report as well, it didn't seem like they were that confident that that deal was on the cards. But looks like the Google deal is maybe coming to completion, now be a very big deal for the club. It's set to be a long-term deal as well, which is going to be very lucrative, one of the most lucrative deals, if not the most lucrative stadium rights deal in the Premier League to date. So I think it's massive news for Spurs and the club financially, just to give us more long-term security. And it's something that we've been waiting for ever since the club, ever since the stadium has been built and we moved in. I think the club have done well to kind of be patient with the deal and not rush into any long-term deal, which either wouldn't have been right or maybe wasn't the right money. And it seems as though their patience might have paid off with this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to note that no deal has actually been struck yet, but people are very confident that this will get over the line. Yeah, I think it just signals another way that the club is going, to be honest, to have a club like Tottenham Hotspur, right, who have not won a league title since 1961, haven't won a domestic cup or an FA Cup since 1991, to have the best stadium in world football, the best naming rights deal in world football, one of the best managers in the world, world-class players in Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. It just shows how far this football club has come, maybe in the last 10 years or so. And you know, tying down Antonio Conte to that deal, having this naming rights deal, who knows where this club can go. But we just need to trust the process, really, keep patient and keep backing the manager. I know you're going to lie, everyone's going to laugh at trusting the process, but Arsenal trusted the process and they're looking all right now. So let's keep the faith with the manager, let's keep the faith with the team, let's not moan too much, because this club is going in the right direction. It might take us still a bit of time as of now, but Conte needs 2 more windows and we'll be right up there. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comments section below what your thoughts are on Conte's contract, Kane's future, and the Google Stadium naming rights deal in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.